Uncle, please don't do this.
They said Jos was burning again. They said the Christians were hiding in churches. They said it was better not to look at the bodies. But Adaora looked. Because the last thing she saw was her mother on the floor, her scarf soaked in blood, her hands still covering her little brother's body like her arms could be a shield against machetes. They came at night. They lit the house. Her father fought. Her mother prayed. They died. But Adaora ran. She ran barefoot through streets blackened with smoke and voices screaming in Hausa. She slept under trucks. She drank gutter water. She held on to one thing, the bracelet her mother gave her, with a small wooden cross hanging from it. At the motor park in Jos, a kind woman put her in the back of a trailer heading to Lagos. "Go to your uncle," the woman said. "He will take care of you." She nodded. She arrived in Ojulegba with dirt in her nails and grief in her lungs. When Emeka saw her at the park, he didn't hug her. He looked her up and down. Then he said, "You've grown up." That was the first sentence he spoke to her after her parents died. At home, he gave her Gary to drink and a wrapper to tie. His wife, Auntie Nkechi, had traveled with the kids to Imo. So it was just her and him. Just her. And him. That night, he watched her as she slept on the floor. She saw his shadow in the hallway. And even though it was silent, Adaora felt something dark enter the room, something worse than the riots in Jos. The house was small. One bedroom. One parlor. One kitchen. And a veranda where Emeka hung his singlet. Adaora was told to sleep on a mat near the fridge. She didn't complain. She couldn't. She was grateful to be alive. The first time it happened, it started like kindness. He brought her a blanket and tucked it around her body. "It's cold," he said. She nodded. He sat beside her on the mat, watching her. His hand rested on her ankle. She flinched. On, why are you shaking?" He smiled, voice calm. "I'm your uncle." But Adaora knew. Her body knew. She closed her eyes and pretended to sleep. That night, she barely breathed. The second time, it was her back. She had just bathed. She was in her wrapper, scrubbing the bathroom when he entered. "Let me help you rub," he said, already holding Vaseline. She stood there frozen. When she refused, he beat her. He said she was proud. He said, "You think I don't know what you've been doing before you came here? You this girl from riot zone, you think you're still holy." From that day, Adaora stopped bathing in the evenings. She waited until he left the house. She learned to lock the door quietly with a spoon. He never succeeded fully. But he kept trying. He touched her thighs when she served his food. He walked in on her changing, pretending to be looking for something. He once stood by the door of the toilet for 5 full minutes while she was inside. Adaora wanted to scream. But where would she go? Who would believe her? She had no phone. No friends. No parents. She was trapped. It started small. He told her to hug pure water. Then it became gala and bottled drinks. But one day, he came home drunk and angry, shouting about how he lost a betting ticket. "You're a cursed child," he spat. "Since you came here, things have been dry for me." Adaora froze. "I feed you, clothe you, house you, and what do I get in return? Bad luck." That night, he told her to wake up early the next morning. She thought he was taking her to the market. Instead, he drove her to Oshodi and parked near the bus stop. He brought out a tomball and shoved it in her hands. "You see that cripple there?" he said, pointing at a boy sitting near a gutter. "That's your new partner. You'll sit beside him. Cry. Shake. Whatever you like. But don't come home with less than 3,000 Nigerian nairas." Adaora stared at him in horror. "Uncle, I can't beg." Before she finished, his slap landed like thunder. "You cursed child," he screamed. "You think I don't know you're the reason your parents died? You're a walking bad omen. Go and make yourself useful." For 6 days, she begged. Morning till night. She sat beside the crippled boy. His name was Musa. He was 9 years old and couldn't speak. They would sit on a piece of cardboard with flies all over them, sweating under the sun, while people threw 10 Nigerian Naira's notes like insults. Some men whispered filthy things to her as they dropped money in her bowl. A downfall conductor once told her she had the kind of suffering beauty that men like. She wanted to vanish. Every night, Uncle Emeka would count her money and laugh. He'd drink beer, belch, and say, "Finally, you're becoming useful. Useless witch." When she cried, he would slap her. When she refused to go, he would beat her with electric wire. Her body became a map of bruises. Her soul became hollow. Until the night she finally ran. She had been crying silently on her mat when he stumbled in drunk. She could smell beer on his breath. He called her name gently. "Ada. Ada, come. Just small. Just help me release small tension." That night he touched her again. That same night she finally decided. "If I die in the street, it will be better than dying in this house." That was the night she ran. And found the signboard. She knew that if she stayed, she wouldn't survive. So she kicked him in the groin and ran barefoot into the night. She didn't stop running until her legs gave way. She was bleeding. Dirty. Lost. That was the night she saw the signboard. "Fire must fall, deliverance crusade, come and be reborn." Adaora sat in the back with bruises on her thighs and dust in her eyes. She was shaking. Starving. Barely conscious. Someone handed her a Bible. Another gave her a shawl. She held on to both like they were lifelines. Then he came. Pastor Chuka. White agbada. Shiny brown shoes. Microphone glued to his mouth. He screamed in tongues. Women fell to the ground, wailing. Men jumped, danced, clapped. But Adaora didn't move. She just stared. Until his eyes locked with hers. He paused. Lowered the mic, whispered into it. "There is someone here who ran away from evil tonight. God said to tell you, you are safe now." The crowd erupted. Jesus. But Adaora's tears fell slowly. She believed him. She thought God had finally heard her. After service, he approached her. "My daughter," he said gently. "Come." He led her to a room behind the altar. Air-conditioned. Cozy. He gave her food, water, a mattress, and a soft blanket. "You can sleep here tonight. Tomorrow, we'll talk." She knelt down and thanked him. He placed a hand on her head. "You are safe here." For the first time in weeks, Adaora slept in peace. The first 2 weeks were heaven. He enrolled her in the church's school. He bought her clothes. He told the congregation how God saved her. She was pulled from the fire, he preached one Sunday. But now she is reborn. They clapped. They cheered. They gave her money. Adaora smiled. She cleaned the church. She joined the choir. She called Pastor Daddy. But he had been waiting. The first touch was after choir rehearsal. He told her to stay back for prayers. She knelt. He placed oil on her head, then her shoulders, then her chest. "Deliverance must reach everywhere the devil touched," he said. She flinched. He smiled. The second touch was during fasting. He came into her room at night with the holy wine. Told her she needed to drink it to see visions. She passed out that night. When she woke, her wrapper was gone and there was blood on her thighs. She asked him what happened. He said, "Don't let the devil confuse you." He said God used him to cleanse her. He said she should feel honored. Adaora felt nothing. Just emptiness. The smell of anointing oil made her stomach churn. Since the night Pastor Chuka touched her, Adaora couldn't sleep properly. The shower he gave her felt like a net. The food he sent made her feel sick. But she stayed quiet. Because Kayamika was now in her place. And Kayamika was younger. Weaker. Still believed Daddy O was a man of God. So Adaora made herself invisible. Until one night, she saw something. It was after Friday's vigil. Pastor had just finished a prophetic cleansing session. He called it Midnight Fire. Only girls attended. Only the most damaged ones. That night, she saw Kayamika crying in the back room. She went to check on her. But the usher told her, "She's resting. Go to bed." Adaora didn't move. She waited behind the curtain, silently. Soon, the usher left, and Kayamika was led into Pastor's private office. Adaora washed. Then, an hour later, she crept to the office to drop a rag. The door was slightly open. And there, on the wall beside his bookshelf, she saw it. A small golden key hanging beside a carved wooden crucifix. Above it was a label, "Chamber." Her heart pounded. She'd cleaned this office before. But she had never noticed that part of the wall. She walked closer. Tapped lightly. Hollow. There was something behind it. She waited 3 more days before she made her move. That Sunday evening, while the church choir performed a night praise session and the pastor was deep in prophetic sleep, after eating, Adaora slipped away. She carried a mop and a plastic bucket. No one questioned her. She went into the office, locked the door behind her, and reached for the crucifix. She turned it. Click. A wooden panel shifted back. Her breath caught in her throat. She pushed. And behind the wall, she saw a short staircase leading downward. The air was cold. She stepped down barefoot. Her legs trembled. The chamber was small. 1 table. 2 locked cabinets. And 1 old laptop, dusty and plugged into a dying socket. She opened the drawer. And there, in a stack of black DVDs, labeled with dates and names, she saw them. Mercy, March 6th. Ngozi, January 12th. Ruth, April 4th. Adaora, June 1st. Her hand froze. She picked the one with her name. She inserted it into the laptop. And watched herself being drugged, stripped, and violated. She didn't cry. She couldn't. Her entire spirit left her body and stood in the corner, watching with cold, detached horror. When the video ended, her hand trembled. Then she saw something worse. A file folder labeled, "Senators, Private." She clicked. And saw recordings of powerful men, not just the pastor, doing unspeakable things to teenage girls. Some of them were children. Adaora couldn't breathe. She took 2 discs. The ones with her name and Kayamika's. She slipped them under her wrapper. Closed the laptop. Turned the crucifix back in place. Then she ran to the toilet and vomited for 20 minutes. That was the night Adaora decided. I will not run this time. I will fight. Because this time, it wasn't just about her. They say when you fight fire with fire, everyone gets burned. Adaora didn't care anymore. Not after what she saw in that vault. Not after seeing her own face, blank, drugged, vulnerable, on the screen. Not after seeing Kayamika. Not after seeing little girls used, broken, and sold like they were nothing but animals. And not after seeing powerful men, senators, pastors, commissioners, caught on tape. Their faces smiling. Their names stamped on every file. their guilt burning in black and white. That night, something inside Adaora changed forever. She didn't cry. She wrote names, dates, locations. She recorded everything on a second phone she kept buried inside her mattress. 2 tapes, 2 discs, hidden inside an old Bible cover under her bed. She told no one, until one person spoke first. It was Sister Ruth, the same woman who had once warned her to keep quiet. After Tuesday service, she slipped her a paper. I know what you saw. I'm ready to talk. Midnight. Back of the church. Adaora waited behind the water tank. The night air was cold. Ruth came, but this time her eyes were different. Angrier. Tired. I've worked here for 11 years, Ruth said. I've seen too much. But the pastor holds too many people in his palm. She paused. Until now. Adaora narrowed her eyes. You too. Ruth nodded once, tears gathering. Age 16. And every month after. They spoke for hours. Ruth told her everything. About the missing girls. About the shipments overseas through the Christian charity home. About the politician in Abuja who paid millions for pure girls. About the journalist who once received one of the tapes anonymously and vanished a week later. He owns people in the police, Ruth whispered. He blackmails everyone. Every man who's touched a girl in this church is on a tape somewhere. Adaora shivered. Then clenched her fist. We won't go to the police, she said. We'll go to the press. Online. The ones they can't buy. Ruth's lips trembled. Do you want to die? No, Adaora said, eyes dark. But they need to. The next day, Adaora cleaned the pastor's office as usual. She left the bug under his desk. She smiled when he greeted her. She collected his prayer gift and pretended to be grateful. But inside her, a war was boiling. Then the next blow came. As she stepped outside to breathe, she heard a loud voice. A voice she thought she had escaped. Look at you, Madam Holiness. She turned. Uncle Emeka. Standing at the church gate. Wearing a new suit. Holding a briefcase. Laughing with Pastor Chuka. She froze. No, not here. But there he was. The same man who called her cursed. Who sent her to the street to beg for alms. Who nearly destroyed her soul and body, now smiling with the very man who defiled her again. 2 monsters shaking hands. 2 devils in disguise. Adaora backed into the shadows. Inside the pastor's office, she overheard them. The girl. She's fine now, Pastor Chuka laughed. Spirit of obedience they her body now. Ehen. Emeka chuckled. I told you she needed purification. I don't try. Adaora bit her lip till it bled. She ran that night. Not to escape, but to think. She sat behind the toilet block, her back against the wall. And for the first time in years, she prayed. But not like before. Not with Our Father. Not with tongues. She whispered. God, if you're real, give me strength. Because the fire they lit in me, I will use it to burn them down. 3 days passed. Adaora said nothing. But she watched everything. She served Pastor Chuka tea, smiled sweetly, and bowed after each prayer. She even knelt when Emeka gave her 2,000 Nigerian nairas and said, God has really changed you. She nodded, still kneeling. But inside her, she was laying traps. She contacted Ruth. Together, they picked a name. Fizeo, a fearless investigative reporter based in Lagos. Ruth sent an anonymous message, using a cyber cafe. There are tapes. Children. A pastor. A trafficking ring. She got a response in under 2 hours. Fizeo said, "Meet me. Bring the evidence." They agreed to meet at night in a safe place, an abandoned printing shop across from the old motor park. But as the day approached, Adaora felt something was off. That evening, Kayamike came to her bed, eyes swollen. She whispered, "Pastor said you've been moving funny. He said to watch you." Adaora's blood ran cold. She smiled and hugged Kayamike tightly. "Don't worry. I'll protect you." She didn't go to the printing shop that night. Instead, she sent Ruth with a decoy flash drive. And just as she feared, 2 thugs appeared. Not reporters. Church security in plain clothes. Ruth ran. They chased. She escaped. But now they knew someone had evidence. Adaora realized something powerful. They are afraid. So she took the next step. She uploaded one small clip from the tapes to an anonymous YouTube channel. A 20-second clip. One man's face. One girl crying. One line from the man, "She's only 14. That's fresh." She used a random title. Nigerian pastor's private tapes leak. She went to sleep that night expecting lightning. But by morning, the video had 100,000 views. Then it happened. The church gates were sealed. Men in black suits came in a convoy. A private meeting was called, no outsiders allowed. Adaora watched through the hallway slit. Senator Okizi. Chief Jidedo. A commissioner from Abuja. All men she had seen on those tapes. They entered the pastor's office and stayed for hours. By sunset, Chuka came out looking like a soaked rat. Sweat ran down his face. But he smiled for the camera. He waved to the press. He denied everything. The devil is attacking the church. A false video. Deep fake. But Adaora was already 10 steps ahead. She sent another clip. This time, it was Pastor Chuka himself, speaking clearly to the camera. "Any girl under 15 is a blank slate. You have to plant the seed early." This one didn't go on YouTube. It went straight to Fizeo. Fizeo responded immediately. "We'll go live in 72 hours. I'm sending someone to get you. Be ready." Adaora packed everything, the tapes, the flash drives, her diary. But just as she zipped her bag, Amoka entered the church compound. Drunk. Hair scattered. Eyes swollen. She stormed into Adaora's room. "You. All of this, it's your fault." Adaora froze. "What are you talking about?" Amoka threw her purse on the floor. "My marriage is over. They took my kids. You think because you carry Bible now, you're better. You cursed child." Adaora stared at her. "Come. Get out." "I'm not going anywhere." Amoka screamed. "You think you can rise above me? That pastor will marry you?" "Who?" Adaora stood, slow and still. Her voice dropped to a whisper. "That man is going to hell. And so are you, if you don't leave this room now." Amoka, suddenly unsure, stumbled back. Adaora walked to the door and opened it. "Next time you want to scream, scream at the people who broke you. Not the one trying to survive." That night, Adaora didn't sleep. Because she knew. The war had begun. And the only way out was to burn the entire altar to the ground. The video dropped at 6 a.m. By 6:18, #PastorPredator was trending. By 6:42, his Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter were wiped clean. But it was too late. Because the faces were there. The voices were clear. And the girls, their tears were undeniable. The video wasn't just one clip. It was a full documentary, compiled by Fizeo and her team overnight. It showed interviews, hidden cameras, voice recordings, Flashbacks from anonymous survivors. And most painfully, a blurred recording of Adaora's tape. Just her voice. Just her soft weeping. Just her saying over and over again, "I thought God lived here." The world lost its mind. People screamed online. Church branches were shut down by angry mobs. Women cried on TikTok. Men denied ever knowing the man. And in the middle of it all, Pastor Chuka held a press conference. Yes. He wore white. He carried a Bible. He stood beside powerful men who once praised him. And he said, "The devil has entered some of our daughters. They are possessed. They are destroying the house of God." He smiled through it all. Because he had backup. He had blackmail. He had evidence of every man who had slept with a child in his church. Senators. Musicians. Top businessmen. So none of them spoke. They called it a spiritual attack. They said our girls need healing. But what they didn't know was, Adaora wasn't done. She went underground. No phones. No church clothes. Just a burner number and her diary. She moved in with Fizeo's cousin in Enugu. Because she knew, if Chuka couldn't silence her with money or prayers, he would come for her life. And he did. That week, Ruth was arrested for theft. The cybercafe Adaora used was burned down. Kayameka was beaten by unknown men and left with a warning. Don't protect Adaora. Then the final move came. EFCC stormed Fizeo's office. They claimed she was being funded by international enemies of the Nigerian church. They froze her account. Confiscated her laptop. The pastor was striking back. But Adaora had one last play. You see, Pastor Chuka thought he had all the tapes. What he didn't know was, Adaora made backups. Stored in a Bible. Sent to a human rights group in South Africa 2 weeks earlier. When Fizeo's office was raided, the organization responded immediately. If anything happens to Adaora or Fizeo, we will release the full unedited footage, including the one with the senator's daughter. That shook them. Because that senator, his own child had been abused by Chuka too. And then, like rain after years of drought, things began to shift. The president ordered an independent investigation. The police commissioner was replaced. Ruth was released. Kayameka was sent abroad by a women's foundation. And finally, an arrest warrant was issued for Pastor Chuka. But he ran. Disappeared into thin air. Some said he flew to Togo. Some said he disguised himself and moved north. Others claimed he was hiding in a monastery. But Adaora, she knew he was watching. She could feel his eyes in every shadow. In every slow car that passed. In every click of a door at night. And then one morning, she got a message. Envelope with arrow, we found him. Round pushpin on Yume Forest, outside Nsaka. Briefcase come. If you want to see justice with your eyes. They found him in a mud hut, deep in the forest outside Nsaka. A small room with broken windows, moldy walls, and scattered holy books. The once man of God looked like a rat. No white suit. No Rolex. No choir singing behind him. Just an old man in hiding, breathing fear. But when Adaora walked in, he straightened, lifted his chin, tried to smile. Daughter, I see the devil has finished using you. She didn't flinch. She stepped closer, looked him dead in the eyes. I was 15. Her voice was like cold steel. And you touched me, drugged me, called it a covenant. Told me I'd be cursed if I ever told anyone. He tried to speak, but she raised her hand. I've heard enough of your mouth for a lifetime. Then she threw the file on the table. His face. Names. Bank transactions. Shipping manifest. Secret accounts in Ghana. Private jets moving girls. His face dropped. You think you've won, he spat. The church will rise again. Men of God are never buried. Adaora smiled, slow and dangerous. Men of God are not pedophiles. That same day, the police stormed the compound. He was arrested on multiple counts. Child trafficking. Sexual assault. Money laundering. Exploitation under a false religious cover. As they laid him out in handcuffs, villagers gathered. Some clapped. Some cursed. Others wept, realizing who he really was. But Adaora, she just watched. No tears. Just silence. 3 months later, the court trial began. It was broadcast live. Every day, new survivors stood in court. Even girls from other countries came to testify. The pastor's lawyers tried every delay trick in the book. But the judge, a mother of 3, she didn't blink. This court declares Pastor Chuka Obine guilty on all 16 charges, she said on the 47th day. He is hereby sentenced to life imprisonment without the possibility of parole. The church was demolished. His assets were seized. The charity home was shut down. A foundation was created in Adaora's name. They called it Dove Her Wings Foundation, because they tried to break her. But she learned to fly. Ruth now works as a counselor for abused girls. Kayameka is in Germany, studying social work. Amoka was arrested for false testimony and obstruction. Uncle Emeka died in a local fight after being exposed for abusing other girls. And Adaora, she writes. She speaks. She rebuilds. I'm not a survivor, she says when asked. I'm a witness. A fighter. A fire. And when asked if she ever forgave him, she looks up and says, some people are not meant to be forgiven. They are meant to be stopped. Broken heart lessons from Her Wings were broken. Religious titles do not make a person righteous. Silence enables monsters. Real healing begins when truth meets courage. No girl should ever be shamed for surviving. Justice is not revenge, it is restoration.
For more stories like this, like, comment, and subscribe to our channel.